I wanted to make just a short video to demonstrate Pooch Manip, extended from Wingull Manip for Sapphire, any percent glitchless. I'll kind of be assuming that you know what Wingull Manip is. If not, check out the Discord. There's resources for it. If I remember, I'll maybe link something for it. But this is assuming you know how to do that. I'll try it. Okay, yeah, it works. So that's path 2. You get the Wingull as normal. Shirtless stream today. So you do the normal YOLO ball, which this might not work, just because of input lag. Okay, we're good. You want to try to keep this as consistent as possible, your bag and your ball timings. And then, okay, from here we'll kind of stop and explain a little bit. The main things are, you want to keep those bag inputs and ball inputs as consistent as possible, because once you press bag, your RNG will stop moving from, I'll try to show this. Your RNG before you press bag is moving 2 frames, or 2 per frame, but when you press bag it switches to 1 per frame and then switches back once you actually throw the ball. So if you're a little off, you might be a couple frames early or late, just depending on how early or late you press bag and ball. So you want to try to keep that relatively consistent. It's not super hard and you'll generally be okay. And then on this, you want to time the B press. You just press B to say no to the nicknaming. I mean, this is all pretty standard, but you do want to time this because that affects when you go from 2 RNG frames per frame to 1. You're still considered like in battle at that point. And you can see now you have 1 distance. And then after this, you're gonna want to run to this tile just to make things consistent. You can do this for every path because you have 4 frames or 4 tiles of invulnerability after the battle. And then you're going to menu here. I personally only recommend doing this for situations where you need to potion anyways, because you're going to be waiting a while if you just repel. But eventually I'll hopefully make a version for just repel as well. So you're just going to repel and potion, and you need to be decently fast with this. Not insane, but the menuing's a little tight here. So once you've done that, you should be back on the screen. You should just have the pause menu up. And you are aiming for RNG frames. Where is it? It's up here somewhere. You're aiming for RNG frames 4649 to 4654. So I was pretty slow on that just because I'm not focusing. Sorry, I'm not used to playing on keyboard, so this is a little weird. And so then, okay, this is much better. You can see we're at 4644, and our target frames were 4649 to 4654. So you're waiting a little bit. So it's a little tight. You have to be decent with your menuing, but it's not too bad once you get the hang of it. So we'll just do like 4651, for example, and then you're just gonna press B on that frame. So you're gonna time this with FlowTimer, and then you're gonna buffer your movement to the left. So you're gonna run like this into the forest, and then this movement is important for consistency's sake. So you want to run into this row here. And then you have to react a little bit to NPCs. It's not the end of the world if you don't, but it sometimes makes a difference. And so you can see here, he starts down, turns right, goes down again. You walk here, just a normal run to walk. And then make sure you're running on the first possible tile. So you're only walking for one tile. So he looked down right, and then left. And there is kind of a list of frames that you're wanting to hit. And the movement is listed for all of these. Most of the frames, you will always do this movement. So you'll just run exactly like that. You'll go in the bottom row, and then you'll go one tile up here. So just after the last tree. And then you'll just run into the cutscene. You'll notice that the frame he turns left is 5330, or he turned right. If you do the manip right, you will always enter this cutscene on the same frame, and he will always do his turning things on the same frame. And so you can know for sure that you're entering into this cutscene on the same frame, which makes the rest of the manip a lot more consistent. So that's the movement you're basically always going to do, is just the run to walk and making sure you're doing it optimally. Oh, I think I paused for a frame there. But yeah, you can see him turn left, and that was frame 4651. The one frame you do slightly different movement is this, and I'll show that real quick. And I'll put a list with all these frames in the description or whatever of this video. 4652 is the only frame that has different movement in this cluster. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like a 7 frame window, so it's not too bad. But again, you just start out doing the same movement. And you see he starts down, and then goes left, right, down. Oops, I ran into that. So he did left, right, down, right, left, and he goes left at the very end. Shout outs to Icy for a lot of this, keeping it icy. Check him out if you want. He put a lot of work into this as well after I kind of made the first version. He calls that like the crazy frame, because he literally spins in like all the directions. So it's pretty easy to tell when you get that frame. If you get that frame, don't go up after the tree, just continue, and then enter the cutscene normally. So it's not very hard movement or anything. That's the only one you really need to do this for. And you can see if you do that, you enter on 5330. Now I'll show you, if you don't adjust, or if you don't recognize that movement and you just do the standard movement, you'll enter at 5332, so you'll be a couple frames later than all the other frames. Not a huge deal. If you're lucky, the manip will still work. It's relatively generous, at least for no sand attack. But other than that, that's the only different movement. So just to summarize, if he does this crazy movement of down, left, right, down, and then left at the very end, you just stay in this path. This is actually the only frame that he'll go down, left, and right. So it's pretty easy to tell. And then any other frame, you will turn for a tile, just go up once here, and enter the cutscene, and you'll always then enter the cutscene on the same frame. So you know that you'll be decently set up for your manip entering the battle. From here, it's pretty straightforward. You just mash. The mashing isn't super tight here. It's pretty generous. this is the last text box. You want to watch out for this. This is the text box that you need to close. So you can press A or B. But you want to... I don't have a specific frame that I aim for. I just say around 6250. This doesn't really matter as long as you have something that's consistent. You just want to be clearing this text box consistently so that you enter the battle consistently, because again, that's when your RNG will start moving twice as fast, as you can see now. So that's kind of what I aim for. The second to last part of this manip is this text box right here. Closing this text box is what determines what move Pooch uses turn 1. The cluster I found for this is 6 frames, I believe. Sorry about that. It is 6891 to 6896, though it's a little tricky because you are moving double RNG in battle. So it's not super easy. You do have to be a little careful. But yeah, like anything like this should work. And this will always guarantee either howl or tackle from the Pooch turn 1. And then the final part is timing the tackle press. The goal, the top end of this manip is critting on this turn. But it's not super easy. So for context, the frame window I kind of aim for is 7639 to 7646. So between those frames, all of them will hit, so you don't have to worry about like accidentally missing, unless you go outside of that frame window. But only 4 of those 8 frames will crit. So if you're just hitting somewhere in those 8 frames, you have about a 50-50 to crit. But I think if you're good and you get your offsets tuned well, I think you can increase that. So for now, I'm on... This is another issue with this manip, is because your RNG only moves 2 times per frame, entering the battle is going to determine if you're on even or odd RNG frames, and there's nothing you can really do to change that besides just being frame perfect with your battle entry. So because we're on even RNG frames, the only tackle that will crit is 7646, and I'll just show that off here. You will get the crit, and Pooch will use tackle. And then that's basically it for the manip. That's all we have so far. I can show off like 7644 will not crit, but you will still get tackled. So the main takeaway is that it's easy enough to consistently avoid sand attack turn 1, and you have a decent chance of also manipping a crit if you get a little bit of practice in with it. Manipping anything else is pretty difficult because the frames that determine like Pooch's next moves, for example, it comes during this text box. So it's at the, you can see it right there when this flashes. That is when the that's when Pooch's next move is determined, and that's gonna vary based on if you get tackle or howl or sand attack, because they all 3 last different amounts of frames. So unless you can consistently get one of those, it would be pretty hard to consistently manip anything further, at least for the time being. But so that's what we have so far. Again, the big time save comes if you are already potioning for this fight anyways. You can do this if you're not potioning. You just have to wait a little while. So you could argue that it's not worth the time lost there. If we do figure out a good Manip that works for potionless, then I will probably make another video on that. 4 extras kind of breaks this. Like this, I think still works. Yeah. But you basically, this is like a 2-framer. If you have 4 extra steps, I think. Yeah. Kinda silly. I mean, it wasn't a great start anyways, but... left, I didn't turn. Might still be fine. There we go.